Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to O'Neill's Grill for our weekly Fan and Press Luncheon with basketball coaches. Happy New Year to one and all as well, as we kick off the 2016 portion of our Fan and Press Luncheons here in O'Neill's Grill with JMU women's basketball coach Kenny Brooks. The Dukes are 7-5 since our last meeting here. They've played a number of games, and of course, last week we'll focus on particularly closing out the regular season non-conference schedule, with a victory over the Davidson Wildcats, 87-45, and then opening up Colonial Athletic Association play on the road yesterday in Williamsburg, falling to the Tribe of William & Mary, 65-59 in overtime. Coach Brooks. Quite a different team in both away and home games last week for the Dukes, and that seems to be a bit of a trend, although you've faced pretty tough competition on the road.
Yeah, it has been, Kurt. And obviously with a team like we have, I can't say they're a young team, but inexperienced in a lot of different ways. You don't want to make that a point, to them, that we play extremely well at home and we've had our struggles on the road. But it's the truth. It's the truth, and you look at our numbers at home, and we shoot the ball extremely well. We play well. We get up and down the floor, and on the road, you have to give credit to our opponents, but they make us play a different style, and we've fallen prey to it. We haven't shot the ball well on the floor. On the road, and yesterday was no different. I was kind of surprised that shooting the way we shot. I think we shot 26% for the game. And we still could have, should have won the basketball game in regulation. So we've talked to the kids about, it being a business trip on the road. We've talked about, taking people's best shots. We've even practiced grinding it out, and winning. If you're not shooting the ball well, you have to do the little things. And we did that all last week. And so I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't grind it out yesterday to come away with the victory when we had every opportunity to do so. We have the basketball with 50 seconds left and up 4, and it's all we had to do was to make one play really, and we didn't. And you give William & Mary credit; they made the plays down the stretch, and we had the basketball exactly where we wanted it. We just didn't come up with the play that we needed, and therefore you go to overtime and anything can happen in overtime. But it's a learning experience. I still think that we have, the capabilities of accomplishing all of our goals. We just have to learn how to close out and finish basketball games on the road.
And probably just finish out individual plays that collectively add up, of course. In yesterday's game, I was listening to the call with David Taylor and Nikki Newman and keeping a little bit of an eye on the video stream. But your shot selection yesterday, can you talk a little bit about whether you felt the shots were good, or was it a case of just hurrying, rushing? What was the situation there?
I think it goes a little bit further than the actual shot selection. It goes back to the decision making leading up to the shot selection. I thought that when William & Mary pressed us in the first quarter, it was our type of game. It was up and down. We were getting layups. We were getting easy opportunities. Although we were up 20-12, I still thought we left some points on the table. We had so many unforced turnovers yesterday, and Muff was a big culprit of that. We just turned the basketball over, didn't give ourselves chances. It was 20-12. It probably could have been 28-12. If we had just really taken care of business. And then they went to a 3-2 zone for the rest of the basketball game, and we became stagnant. And that's what I mean by it was the process before the shot selection where we just didn't attack. We didn't attack. We stood around. We passed the ball, played into their hands, and then as a result, we had to take tougher shots than we should have if we had to just really penetrate it and look for easy opportunities. And so it happened like that the whole game, which I was very disappointed in because we arguably have 3 of the best guards in the conference, and they should understand that you're not going to get easy shots by just passing the ball around the perimeter against a 3-2 zone where they can match up with you. You need to penetrate and create, get the defense moving, so therefore you get easier shots.
Before we had the game at William & Mary, freshman Kayla Cooper-Williams was starting to assert ourselves, and again, speaking with what I heard from David Taylor in the commentary of even the games before, you need for obviously a number of players to step up for you, but she is the one that has the best opportunity to really blossom this year. Where do you feel that she is at this stage as you go into the conference slate?
Ahead of the curve. She really is. I think what's disappointing to me is that we're relying too heavily on her. When I really wanted to bring her along a little bit slower, she's thrust into a situation where we need her to score more than I really thought she was capable of doing. And that's on the shoulders of some other kids. Some other kids really need to step up. Some more experienced kids need to step up and be in that role. But I think Kayla, and especially in the last 3 weeks, ever since pretty much the Orlando tournament, she's exceeded my expectations. Relatively speaking, I always want her to do better and better and better and better. But she's ahead of the curve where we really thought she would be right now. She's getting opportunities. She's playing very well on the defensive end, rebounding the basketball. She's missed some opportunities. She's left some points on the table by missing some layups that she probably could make. But you expect a lot of that from a freshman who comes in that you really had no expectation of her actually scoring for you in her first year. But it's all a learning process. She's going to get better and better and better. She's actually a lot better now than she was at the start of the season. So she's continuing to grow. If there was a bright spot yesterday, it wasn't really bright, but she was probably the brightest spot that we had because she probably played above what we really needed her to play, relatively speaking.
I want to go back to the Davidson game and a conversation I had with a local fan and talking about that outing. When you find yourselves in games where you seem to be well in control, you do have areas that you want to work on. Is that a good situation to maybe work on weaknesses in a real live situation as opposed to simulating it where you try to do that in practice? You've talked about simulating grinding it out, for example. If you look back at that Davidson game, were there times where you were working on things that you wanted to improve upon?
Yeah, I mean you are, but you also have a situation where everyone who comes into the game, whether they're a starter or whether they are a role player, whether a person who doesn't play much at all, they're conditioned to go out and give it their best if they want to either continue playing as much as they're playing. They want to crack the rotation, or they want to stay in the rotation. So they're always going to give it their all. They're going to play extremely hard, regardless of what the score is. We've conditioned them to do that as well. But you do work on certain situations. There were certain things that obviously you have the game in hand, and you want to try to. You can't really manufacture certain situations, but when they appear, yes, you want to work on them. You don't want to ever get sloppy. And then when you have kids that are going out there to work on some stuff, then obviously they're gonna feel good about themselves when they execute, that certain situation. And it makes me feel good about it too, because when you have situations that arise when it's a closer game, you know who you can depend on. You know who you can do things. We had a couple of situations in that game that didn't cost us, but I thought Logan Reynolds had an opportunity, and she learned from it. She didn't execute the situation, but she learned from it because she had actual game experience doing so, whether it was right or wrong. And in a game, in a practice, you can't manufacture that intensity. You can't manufacture any of that in a practice setting like you can in a game setting. So we do take advantage of those opportunities to execute, to continue to play well, regardless of what the score may be.
You're in your 14th season as a head coach, and certainly longer than that as a college basketball coach, men and or women. And are you finding yourself this year kind of looking back into your old bag of tricks as to maybe how to get this team much more consistent with what it wants to do with your experience? Where are you pulling from that experience in moving it on?
Well, this team has probably been, and I hate to use this word, inconsistent. Inconsistent with just day to day, game to game, and as soon as you think you're on a roll, and the schedule has a lot to do with that. Where you get on a roll, you feel good about yourself playing against Richmond, and you have a great win, and then all of a sudden your next two opponents are West Virginia and Baylor. So that can kind of throw a monkey wrench into your confidence. But they just are. It's a little bit inconsistent. We've had games where. And ironically, they've been on the road where a Hampton, a St. Bonaventure, and then down at William & Mary, where you can call them their big three. They just didn't step up. They didn't shoot the ball well. Yesterday, Muff Mickens, Ashley Perez, and Jasmine Guathme were a combined 12 for 52. So I don't know how many games you're going to win, when the three people who are taking the majority of your shots are that 12 for 52, and I think they had 16 turnovers combined. To be in the basketball game, that's what I mentioned. That's what I talked about when I mentioned before. To be in the game and have a chance to win, shooting 26%, and those kids playing like they played, it's remarkable. I think we're doing some things right, so you can try to pull. Trust me, from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. this morning, I didn't know whether to take that game as the positives from it or the negatives from it because
Right.
I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep, but we for us to be in the game playing as bad as we did is a plus, but to actually be playing as bad as we did, it's a negative. So we have a lot of work to do. I think we need to get consistent. I thought yesterday going down the stretch, I didn't get the feeling. I almost got the feeling, and I don't want to keep bringing this up, but I almost got the feeling they were looking for Precious. Looking for Precious because that's Precious time. Give me the ball. I'm going to at least get in here. I'm going to make something happen, whether it's a shot, I'm going to get to the free throw line. And, this is probably the first time the Jazz has been in that situation. We needed her to be aggressive, like, hey, give me the ball. I needed Muff to demand the ball. And, I kicked myself a little bit going down the stretch. I think the last two possessions, we were up. And I had the ball where I wanted it with Muff, and I had 2 timeouts. And I said, okay, do I call a timeout here, draw something up, or do I let Muff create? And I let Muff create, and she didn't really handle the situation like I thought she would. But it's a learning experience because normally what happens, we run a play, we get the ball to Precious, and Precious makes the play. Now, one of those 3 kids are going to have to really step up and understand that they have to be aggressive and want to make that play.
Well, it takes experience, obviously, from you, Coach, to recognize the fact that they were looking for Precious and to bring that about. Sometimes you got to face the facts with that. And I'm sure it was frustrating, if I know you pretty well, the fact that you had 60 rebounds, which certainly getting the boards is paramount in your offense with the athletes that you have, and not capitalizing on that also has you scratching your head, I'm sure.
You talk about going back and pulling from our experiences with our past teams, and where we've always been really good is we've had a cleanup crew.
Right.
Whether we make a shot, miss a shot, we were going in getting second, third, and fourth chance opportunities. We're not getting that this year. And even when we are getting it, we're not capitalizing on it. We had 23 offensive rebounds yesterday, and we didn't capitalize on them. We didn't get second chance opportunities. Dee Dee Griffin, she had 20 rebounds. 20 rebounds, and after the game was over, I told her, I said that the eyeball test told me that you didn't rebound the basketball well enough. She had 20, all right, but she had 9 offensive rebounds, and she didn't convert on any of those offensive rebounds. I think she scored 2 baskets. One was a 3-pointer. One was a drop-off layup. And when you get 9 offensive rebounds, you have to, especially when you're grinding it out, when you're on the road and it's a game like that, you have to get second chance opportunities, and we did not get those at all. And as a matter of fact, I probably can count them on one hand how many second chance opportunities we got. So we just finished watching film, and that was one of the things that we discussed. And sometimes you can look at the stats and you can say you did really well, all right, but sometimes the eyeball test tells you more about the game. And when we had, when Dee Dee has 9 offensive rebounds and only has 8 points, that's a problem. When Jasmine Gwathmey, goes out there and she had 18 points, 11 rebounds, a lot of people would have thought that was a good game. But when we watched the film, she probably had her hands on probably 8 more of those balls that could have came in with the rebounds. And they need to be that in that type of basketball game.
All right, we'll turn it over to other members of the media here at O'Neill's Grill. Gentlemen?
Coach, you know how long the season is, obviously, but we're in January, and before you hold your breath, next thing you know, you're in March. Do you feel like you can sense the clock is ticking a bit, where you need to see some improvements before the season gets away from you, and how important does it become these next couple of games to see those improvements made?
Well, I mean, this year, obviously, we knew it was going to be a little bit different. Again, our expectations are exactly the same. But when you lose someone of Precious's caliber, not her points or anything, just her leadership, there's going to be some adjustments. I did not think we were going to go into the year and go 29-4. I thought that there was going to be situations where we were going to be up and down a little bit, and as long as we're learning from it, so regardless of yesterday's outcome, yes, it's a loss, but we're not panicking. Muff makes a layup, we win the basketball game. Jasmine Gwathmey gets a shot with 2 seconds to go. She makes that layup. We win the basketball game, and we're sitting here. Am I happier? Yes. Does that mean that we're further along than we were because she missed the layup? No. Our goal is still the same. Is to make ourselves get better. And yes, the clock is ticking because we lost an opportunity to win a game, but we're not panicking. I think we're in good shape. We're in really good shape. We get one or two more kids to step up and to play the way we want them to play. We'll be right in contention for a championship, and that's all you can ask for. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be one of those years, myself included. Have been very, very spoiled. Where we've had two of the greatest years in JMU women's basketball history, where you're going out and you're beating people by 25 points. I think we still can beat people. I just don't think it's going to be that free flowing anymore. And the league has gotten better. And so we just have to continue to grind it out. And I think we'll be right there when the championships come around.
Well, you talked about how Kayla's pretty much ahead of schedule. How are some of the other younger players in terms of where they're developing, and since you probably need them to step up even more now?
Yeah, I think Logan Reynolds is doing a really good job. She's been forced to play a little bit more off the ball than we anticipated. So therefore, she's going back and forth a little bit, but she's a little scrappy player. She's a little hustle player. I regret not playing her a little bit more yesterday. But hindsight's 20/20. She'll be out there more. I'm very comfortable with her out on the floor. And I think it opens up a lot of things for us. Savannah Felgemacher, I think she's kind of doing the freshman thing where, one day she's really good, one day she struggles a little bit, and she has to continue. But again, she's having to play a little bit more than we anticipated. They're doing well. But I think some of the upperclassmen need to take care of their business so that we can play the freshmen as we anticipated. And if they do that, then we'll be fine.
And finally, you said that you wanted to get used to the four-quarter system by Christmas, and here we are after the new year. Where are you at with that?
I was talking about next Christmas. I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, I know there's some people who are in favor of it. I think there's some people who are pretending like they like it. They're trying to be company people. I don't like it. I just think it. They say it gives you more possessions, gives you more opportunities for end of the quarter situations, but also gives you more opportunities for bad possessions. You're getting the ball and you make a great defensive stop and you got 2 seconds left and you run down and you heave up a three from half court and then they get the ball again to start the third quarter. I don't like it. I think it makes the games longer. So maybe I am getting more used to it, more used to it, but I still don't like it any better. So maybe by next Christmas I'll like it.
We'll check in Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Your bench scoring was really down, and even the number of shots they took was off yesterday. Kind of what was going on with the subs when you put them in?
I think it was a temporary lack of confidence by the head coach, and it's typical with a team that is inconsistent. A couple of the kids hadn't practiced as well as I really would have liked. You talked about getting some production, from some of the upperclassmen. We really need more from Tasia Butler. I think she's a physical specimen, and she needs to play a little bit smarter. Destiny Jones didn't make the trip, just because she needed to stay back and work on her conditioning, which is disappointing because we felt like she was making strides. But those are kind of kids that come off the bench for you and they step up and they score some baskets. We need Haley Barron to step up and make some shots. She's out there. She played 30 minutes. I think she took 3 shots. It's not that we're orchestrating the ball to go certain areas. It's just that those kids need to really step up when they get an opportunity. And yesterday's game was a little bit difficult because they played a 3-2 zone the whole game. And we just got very, very stagnant and never really got a free flowing after the first quarter.
With Haley in particular, with Precious being out, is she still searching for where she is on the floor, depending upon who she's out there with?
No, I think that I think it has nothing to do with Precious' situation. Because, again, she's still out there with 2 all-conference guards at every moment. All right, so she should be, ready to spot up. It's just really right now, she just needs to see the ball go through the hoop. And I think once she sees that happen once, twice, hopefully 3, 4, 5 times, then she'll get more and more confident in what she's doing. She's the kind of kid that, she's got it rolling. She's really good, but sometimes if she doesn't have it rolling, she questions, whether or not she should shoot it. And we've been encouraging her to step up and shoot the basketball. So hopefully, she gets that message and she'll get going.
All right, the Dukes are at home the next 2 Fridays. The Dukes opening up their CA home schedule this coming Friday night against the Cougars of the College of Charleston. Coach, can you give us a little scouting report on the Cougars?
You know what? I'm still trying to get the scouting report on the Dukes right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. They're going to come in here. They have a tremendous player in Bolden. who's a first-team All-Conference kid. Uh, I don't think we'll take them lightly. Number one, because we lost the game to William and Mary. We're looking forward to getting back out on the floor, and then also we have some seniors who remember losing to this group 2 years ago. So it's just really we need to take it game by game, day by day. I think the bigger test, Kurt, is going to be Sunday, and not because
Right.
of the opponent, but because we're going to a different format where we're going Friday, Sunday. And not only do we have 1 day prep for this game, we're actually traveling on that 1 day. And so I didn't vote for, the 1 day in between. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for us. But we'll see. That's going to be the bigger test is the whole weekend and not just one of the games, because it's a different format, a format that these kids have not yet had to do. And we did it a couple years back, and I think we did it once or twice last year, but this is the way it's going to be from here on out. 1 day prep in between games, and I think it's going to be tough.
Yep, the Dukes hosting the College of Charleston on Friday night. Again, that is a 7 o'clock tip-off, and it is also the hometown favorite night. All fans with a Harrisonburg or Rockingham County home address are eligible for a $5 general admission ticket, while kids 12 and under will receive free admission. Proof of address will be required for the ticket discount. Again, the Dukes and the College of Charleston, Friday night at 7 o'clock, then at Elon, Sunday afternoon at 2. You can hear both those games on the JMU and Telos Wireless Sports Network, ESPN 1360 AM, 101.1 FM, and also 101.3 FM, that is, excuse me. And at Elon, those games, that game can be heard that night, that afternoon on radio. Both games can be seen on the internet as well through Matazone on Friday night and Elon's production on Sunday. Thank you, Coach Brooks, for joining us. Best of luck this week against the Cougars and the Phoenix.